everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals and talk to you about why lifting weights is such a valuable and critical tool for losing body fat. And by lifting weights, I am talking about weights, although in theory, machines and everything else can replicate the same benefits. Although I am slightly biased towards free weights, I'm not going to lie, with a strength and conditioning background, powerlifting background, but even I use machines to some extent. All right, now that being said, the reason it does this is multifold in nature, and a lot of it would seem to be counterintuitive to a lot of people. They're like, don't you lift weights to bulk up? Isn't that kind of the point? You're trying to get bigger, trying to gain a bunch of muscle mass. But the truth is, what most people don't realize is that actually it keeps your metabolism a lot higher. In other words, lifting weights itself can help you burn through more calories, more energy, more body fat, even when you're resting. And it's an accumulative effect that will continue for months and years and years and years as you continue to gain small amounts of muscle. Furthermore, as far as a lot of people worried they're going to look like a big bodybuilder, the funny part is that I know tons of people who have that concern, then they get into training and decide they want to look like a bodybuilder and realize, oh, this isn't going to be as easy or as quick as I thought it was. I had some big misconceptions, so it's actually not true. And in fact, particularly, it's a very large concern for women. And ironically, some of the women I know who compete in various strength things, some women will go, well, maybe they look a little too jacked, but then they realize that's only when they dieted down extremely lean. And so the funny thing is just don't get too lean and you won't get that striated look you're concerned about. You know, kind of funny, you're concerned about looking too lean. That's what muscular means, right? Just don't diet out that lean. Don't lose all of your body fat and it won't happen. So that aside, let's talk about the key points as to what we're concerned with. Right off the top of the bat to think about is the fact that when we lose weight, a lot of what we lose is muscle tissue and lean tissue. That's a bad thing. And it's because our body doesn't want us to starve to death. And extra muscle mass is perceived as not useful to your body. Why would it hold on to it? It's like, if I get rid of this muscle, my metabolic rate will go down. Let's get rid of some of the muscle instead of all fat. So that's almost your body's first knee-jerk reaction. So if we start lifting weights, it helps preserve the muscle tissue. All right, well, that's twofold in nature. Here's the one that should be obvious, and then the one that's not so obvious, a lot of people don't think about. All right, the obvious one, well, it's doing it to slow your metabolism down. So if I keep the muscle tissue, if I don't lose that 5 pounds of muscle, I'm going to burn more calories. My metabolic rate is going to stay higher, but it's not going to be just your metabolic rate. I want to be clear, it's not just your metabolic rate when you're resting. Muscle is active tissue, so when you're up moving around, and especially your lower body, if you're keeping more muscle in your legs, that you're not losing it, you're burning more when you're walking around. So when you're doing all your other physical activities, you're going to burn more of it, okay? So obviously, it will help keep your weight loss plateaus from being as frequent, right? Because we're not losing as much metabolism. Everyone's always like, oh yeah, yo-yo dieting makes your metabolic rate go down. Yeah, because you're losing muscle. See where we're going? Lift some weights, eat a little more protein. Guess what? We offset that, right? Because we're preserving the muscle tissue. So it's not even about getting bigger. It's about, can I keep what I have? And that's something a lot of people don't think about. As we gain body weight, people who are overweight actually have more muscle because they're carrying around more body weight. The food itself is anabolic to muscle tissue that they overate to some extent. Even all those sugars and things do help grow muscle, but they're carrying more body weight around. Therefore, they're building up a little bit of muscle doing it. Overweight people have more muscle on average than skinny people, right? And it makes sense because they do more work. Their body has to work harder just to move them around. If you gain 20, 30 pounds of body weight, that is some built-in resistance training. But you want to keep that muscle because it'll keep your metabolism higher. Well, then here's the other one people don't think about with it. All right, if a calorie deficit, right, creating an energy deficit takes body weight off of you, it is pulling that energy from tissues into your body, preferentially fat tissue, but it will take muscle tissue. It will take other stuff if it can. So not only are we thinking you're preserving metabolism, but what about the energy that you burned? If you hold on to the muscle, your body didn't dip into the muscle stores as much. That energy had to come from somewhere. Okay, so that 5 pounds of muscle that you didn't lose while the scale still went down, where did it come from? From your fat. This is a big deal because not only are we preserving metabolic rate, we're losing more fat for every pound or kilo of body weight that we lose. So if you lose 10 pounds of body weight, if 3 of it's muscle, only 7 of it could have been fat. And there's some water, but what if none of it was muscle? Well, that same 10 pounds is 10 pounds of fat loss. Well, see where we're going? See why this is useful? Start at this point. I think a lot of people who are new to this concept, the wheels in their head are probably turning at this point. Oh, wait. So I'm losing more fat on the same diet. Okay, let's be clear. You are losing more fat on the exact same diet. So the same whatever diet you're following, whatever calories you've been eating, or you've reduced to, or a dietary approach you're doing, the fat loss will be faster. Okay, now how about if we build a little muscle? We take that to the next tier. So if we're training hard enough to where when you're losing weight, you're gaining a little bit of muscle, doesn't the same thing occur? Okay, so if you lose 20 pounds of body weight and you lose no muscle, you lost 20 pounds of fat. What happened if you gained 3 pounds of muscle? It means you probably lost 23 pounds of body fat. Okay, if you gained 3 pounds of muscle instead of losing it, what do you think happens to your metabolism? Well, if muscle tissue increases your metabolic rate, is it possible for you to gain enough muscle for you to lose a little weight and for your metabolism to actually go up instead of down? Yes, it can happen. It is possible. All right? So we have that, and then we have the fact that the lifting itself, the research is now showing that lifting weights, the same amount of time in the gym lifting weights, actually burns just as much body fat as doing cardio does. So I'm not saying cardio can't be a useful tool for weight loss, but when we start really adding it up, what do you think the larger body of research is starting to show? Faster fat loss. In fact, I saw a recent study done this year to where they took a number of obese women. They had one group of them do cardio, one group of them do weightlifting for the same number of total minutes per week on the same diet. The ones who lifted weight lost more body fat and more body weight, and they gained muscle. This is a pure win all the way around. This is a win all the way around. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.